Well, this story took place decades ago. At that time, my wife and they called us yuppies, young urban professionals. It was back in the 80s, and we both worked in business jobs. We worked downtown. It was noisy. It was busy. The cities were polluted, and there was traffic everywhere. Every day was people, people, people. And it was taking a toll on us. It was actually starting to hurt our romantic life as well. We thought we'd get away from it all. We would rent a cabin in the woods, a secluded cabin, away from people, away from traffic, away from everything. Keep in mind, this is back in the 80s, so the internet and mobile phones were not nearly as common as today, if anyone had them at all. But I think even today, you would not be getting any bars that far out into the wilderness. Yes, indeed, the cabin was more secluded than we expected. Actually, we had to take quite a long drive outside city limits, then onto some logging roads. Finally, we were on dirt roads, and a few hours later, on a beautiful Saturday morning in the summer, we found our cabin. Now, being city people, we were not familiar with the rural life, but the cabin was actually much better than we expected. It was a solid 2-story cabin. It was made with those massive logs, and it had a big brick chimney. Even as we entered, we fell in love with this big solid oak door. It made that satisfying creaking sound and thunk as you closed it behind you. Yeah, the interior of the cabin was great, too. So cozy. It had a real bearskin rug in front of a rustic fireplace. A quaint kitchen and a little spiral of wooden stairs led to an upstairs bedroom. So this was the private weekend getaway we dreamed of. We had beautiful summer weather, and we had the rest of the Saturday afternoon to go explore the area outside, to commune with nature. Actually, the whole area was surrounded by the biggest trees I'd ever seen. The forest around it was so thick you couldn't even see through them. Chirping birds and squirrels and warm breezes. We found a beautiful creek to walk along, fields. We could feel all that city living stress starting to melt away. A few hours into our nature exploration, my wife says, "Do you know what feels strange?" Well, it sounds strange. At first I tried listening to what she was referring to. She said, No, listen. There's no human noises out here. Not an airplane sound, not the sound of a truck driving by. It's nothing but nature. And I remember I added, Yeah, you're right about that, because we'd hiked around for hours now, and I don't think I'd seen anything that was even man-made at all. Like no other cabins, no other hikers, no other roads. I didn't even see human litter anywhere. We really started to feel like we were the only 2 people on Earth, and we loved that feeling. So we headed back to the cabin to nestle in for an even more relaxing evening. We had a nice dinner, we started a warm fire, and we're just settling in for a quiet night when, What the hell? We could hear a sound knocking on that big wooden door. Now, at first, we thought it had to be a raccoon, but maybe it was a person? It was so faint, but a knocking sound. Now, there was a small window near the front door, and I tried to see who or what was out there, but I couldn't see anyone or anything. I kind of turned to the wife, who was sitting on the sofa. I don't know. Maybe it's a woodpecker. And yeah! As I turned to say that to my wife, I see in the window right behind her a head. A boy's head. A boy. Just ahead of him, as if he was on his tippy toes, trying to peek up into the window. Maybe he was trying to see who was inside. But it startled me a little bit, but it was just a kid. I don't know, maybe we thought from a nearby cabin? Not that we knew of any that were nearby. I pull open that big old door. Hey-o! But the kid doesn't appear. Hey, kid? Then he shuffles out from the side of the house into my view. The thing is, he looks guilty of something, apprehensive. And if I had to guess, I would say he's a local kid. He was kind of rough and dirty and had ill-fitting clothes, muddy shoes. Hey, it's okay, buddy. What do you want? And with that, he bolts. He runs like a scared deer down the path, through the forest, and disappears around the corner. Now, my wife's already at the door. Oh, why did he run? I don't know. Well, I guess he's not coming in. I pulled that big old oak door closed and thunk. I guess he might just be a curious local kid, but that was weird. We settled back into our planned evening of peace and quiet, but my wife was still a little bothered by the kid. What if he actually was lost or in trouble? Well, if he does need help, hopefully he comes back before dark, so we can... Wait, hang on, kid, I say loudly, but as friendly as I can. My wife looks out the window where he'd popped up before. I creaked open the door, hurrying a little, but not too fast to scare him either. Now, he's not standing in front of the door, but instead he's down at the steps that lead up to the porch, a few feet back. He's got one leg on one step. It's like he's getting ready to run again. Hey, buddy, my wife and I say in unison, both of us putting on the most non-threatening body language. Hi, what's your names? Now, the sun is setting, but we can kind of make out his dirty face, and he still looks really tense. It's like he's a rabbit and we're cougars about to pounce. I slowly reach over and flick on the porch light. Hopefully he can see we're happy, nice city people. And boom! He bolts again. He turned and ran right down that darkening trail again. I holler, but he's fast, and he's already long gone. Well, we wait at the door for at least a few minutes, listening to, I don't know, can we hear something? Maybe a sound of a car, or some other kids, but he simply vanished. Not a sign or sound of him. Well, again, we hauled that big old door closed with a thunk and set back to our evening. But needless to say, our night of blissful peace and quiet never felt relaxed after that. In fact, I'd already switched from my slippers back to my runners and had a flashlight in my pocket just in case he showed up again. Hours passed. Eventually, it was pitch black outside and nearing midnight. We agreed, though, if he does this again, and at this time of night, I was going to chase him down and physically catch him, because surely no parents are around to let a kid out at that time of night. And if it's necessary, I'll grab him and we'll find out what's wrong and drive him to the nearest town. My wife calmed down a bit. She got in her pajamas and decided to go upstairs and read in bed. The generator was getting low on fuel, so I powered off all the lights except for that vintage lamp upstairs in the bedroom beside her bed. I was just having a mid-stretch and yawn before joining her when... Damn it! That kid is back! I didn't yell that. I thought that. With all the lights downstairs being off, the bedroom light illuminated the front of the cabin just enough so that I could spot him coming out of the trees, coming out of the darkness, and hovering around in front of the cabin. It seems he was more nervous than before. He was sort of apprehensively halting and moving like he wasn't sure if he should come up to the door and knock again, or he was glancing around like he needed to know who was watching him. I ever so quietly got to the door and decided there was no way to slowly open this door without him hearing me and running off again. This time, I unlatched and burst out as fast as I could. I leapt straight over the porch and stairs, but by the time I landed on my feet, that kid was already turning and racing down the trail. I hurled after him. The chase was on. It was quickly obvious he knew the dark trail better than I did. I got my flashlight out, and with that, I could spot the back of him running down that trail. It was about a 200-meter dash, and I got him. Now, he'd pretty much just slowed up when I got on top of him anyway, but I grabbed him and took a hold of his arm. Kid! Hey. I'm not gonna hurt you, okay? I want to help you, okay? I try to tell the kid, see, back there, my wife, she's in the window. She says it's okay. Don't run away. We can help you if you're scared, okay? Now, I waved my flashlight around, hoping my wife could spot it from way back in the top floor of her room. And the wife's silhouetted arms waved back at it, so I knew she was acknowledging us. The kid spoke for the first time.
I'm not scared of you or your wife.
Well, then why the hell do you keep running away? I let go of his arm. The boy paused for just a few seconds. Then he, oddly enough, looked past me towards the cabin.
Because my uncles told me to.
Wait, what? Your uncles told you to... I turned my head towards the cabin to see what he was looking at. Your uncles told you... You ran off in the darkness twice as fast as before. Quite far from the cabin at this point. I'm looking towards the cabin. That's when I hear the unmistakable creaking and clunk sound of the front door of the cabin slamming shut. I frantically waved my flashlight at the second floor window, but all I could make out was the silhouette of my wife, her body turning around as if to face whoever was coming up the stairs.